Hello everyone, and let me just make sure what's okay. There we go. Now we're getting onto the same page. Welcome here to a bit of a new experience. And Pete, sorry, can you just turn that down a little bit? I just hear an echo there. This is all new, and I think a large part of today's WeChat will probably just be about getting used to this space and what we're going to be doing. Basically, thank you very much already for everyone that said hello. I can see there's quite a few things coming in. This is a bit of a new thing for me as well. Just to give you an idea of how it's all set up here. And let's do it like this. This is a first try, so I'm just going to mess around a little bit. Basically, and unfortunately it's a bit hard to show you, but let me just do it like this quickly. I've got a couple of things set up here. There's a computer monitor and also the screen going out. And then the live control center is just in there through the door. Pete, can you wave there for us so you just see? It's a bit dark, but there's Pete in there. And now I think you know how we set up. Now I'm going to stop being... There we go. So, basically the idea is just that while we're watching whatever's going on around the warthol, we've been watching that saddleable stork and impalas. We'll chat about that a little bit. And I'll get better at reading what's going on the screen here as well, and seeing what you guys are chatting about, and literally we will just have a little talk. Thank you very much for all the hellos already. I can see quite a few things coming in, just hellos to myself and Pete, and also Herman's around, Tex and Rex, and everyone's here today just to see how this all works, and we're going to keep on going with it. If I can ask one favor for the moment, we are going to still sort it out more in time, but unfortunately it's very difficult for me to actually make out the names at the moment on the chat. So if you send in a comment, especially if it's what's going on, guys? Okay, cool. You can speak to him, Rex. It doesn't matter. We don't have to pretend there's no people around here. If you can just add your name into the question, or if you have a comment specifically, just because it's difficult for me to make out your names at the moment on the chat forum. So if I can just ask for that at the end, just type your name in as well, then I can see it. And let's go. If there's any questions, if there's anyone that wants to start a conversation, we're going to get back to the warthol just now. At the moment, there's not too much going on. There's a saddleable stork, and hopefully over the next hour or so while we're sitting here, there will be quite a bit of activity coming in. I must say, and this is another aspect we'll still work on, it literally is you sitting next to the table, basically. Over here I can see what's going on at the warthol, so what you can see at the moment, the saddleable stork. Every now and again you'll see he's also having a look at what's going on. And yeah, some interesting things happening around camp last night. I'm still going to get used to this other screen, which is basically what you're asking. But we had a leopard in camp again. We had Karula from the tracks this morning. Rexon saw the tracks after drive coming past the washing line. And I know there's also some male lion tracks in the area. Some of you saw the leopard last night around the warthol. Thank you for letting us know. And so yeah, lots of action going on, and us also sharing the space. Now, let me see. Morning, Rex Tex. So that shows you guys have already seen that everyone is here. Pete, can you see the chats as well? Okay, because I see there's one or two things just mentioning about the light and so on, so we can all have a look at that. I can read JP very clearly, and this is fantastic. It's very interesting what's going on. All right. We saw leopard. Now, unfortunately, like I mentioned just now, if you can please add your name into the piece of the chat you're typing in, just because at the moment I can't make the other names out. So we saw leopard. Very, very hard to see who that's from. If you can just add that in. Guys, well, for the moment, just before this actually started, apart from us running around everywhere, and the saddleable stork flying off as well, there was a lot of impala around. What I quite enjoyed seeing from the behavioral point of view was just all the impala and the saddleable stork all just mixing around. Obviously the stork is finding some little bits of food in that pan. Now if you think back, for those of you especially that have been watching the pan a lot, it's not often we see the saddleable stork at the pan, and I think that's because summer is in the air a bit more. Like I said yesterday on drive as well, even just the last 24 hours it's getting much hotter. At the moment we've got a bit of shade here luckily, so it's a comfortable space to sit. But the days can get very hot the last day or two. Also last night, lots of insect noises and crickets and frogs down from the pond, and I'm sure that's why the stork was at the warthol as well. So I still have to get used to pointing where, because the warthol is actually there. Pete and them where I'm looking is over there. He's sitting right next on this side. But yeah, so it just shows that there's a bit of activity in the pan as well, maybe some frogs and little things like that. And we're going to keep looking around as well. I'm sure just now we're going to just have a scan around. We're still going to get used to all of this as well. Pete, maybe in the next minute or two we can just do a general scan, see if there's anything coming up. I think for the moment the warthog is quiet. And put your name in the response, Rose. Oh, that's from Rose, sorry. See, I'm still getting used to it as well. Karen, also very nice to have you. I know that you join us very often. I think one of the things that will be nice in this as well is just that it'll give us time to get to know each other more. It'll be more specifically those people that are participating in the chat that will have an influence as to what we talk about. And we're just having a look around the pan now. I can see Pete scanning from camera 2. And those of you that partake in so many ways. I mean, I mentioned Karen's name there now, Rose. I'm just seeing else. Unfortunately, I still can't see. There's Claire is here as well. Claire, very nice to have you in the chat. It's going to be a little bit more personal chatting as well, I think. In other words, we're not on a drive. We don't have that unexpected thing of what's around the next corner. We're going to be chatting just about this and that, maybe questions from the morning's drive, sort of hypothesize a bit about the afternoon's drive, and then ultimately, of course, talk about just what might be coming down to the water, which at the moment is not much. And you might notice I'm saying and a lot. That's mainly just because there's so many new things going on. Herman, what's up? Alright, Joe. So, the main thing I need to get used to today is just the interactiveness of this. Like I've said already, I'm saying way too much, which I'll get rid of very shortly. All the different names. Yeah, there's a question already. See, it's more a matter of me just figuring out where I'm reading what. Colinus is asking if we ever see marabou storks or white storks. Certainly, I think quite soon. Hopefully, we get lots of rain and Gari Waterhole itself will fill up, which will be fantastic just from a water point of view. I must strike that word from my vocabulary. Is a terrible word. But as the waterhole fills up, there often in summertime we'll see white storks quite often actually. They come in obviously with the migration in summertime, which is where the old myth of storks bringing babies comes along, because they often arrive in springtime when there's lots of new babies. And marabous as well. Not that often that we see marabous. Often if there's a very big carcass, like a big elephant carcass or a buffalo carcass, you sometimes get marabous, as well as occasionally around Gari Waterhole, but it's not common to see them. Marabou storks, for those of you that haven't seen them before, is I think to call it a pretty bird would certainly not be telling the truth. It's not the prettiest of birds. It's a very large stork. I've seen a few of them together, 2 or 3 of them together, even chase cheetahs off their kills. So it's quite a large, intimidating bird, and we do see them sometimes, but not the prettiest of birds. Stop saying I'm going to keep on mentioning a few names as well. Anne is joining us. Megan, Rose, I mentioned earlier. Suso, if I'm saying it right. Thank you for not minding the but it's something that I can fill that space with either silence or better words. I'm also still just getting used to computers. That's another part of my experience with Wild Earth. See, Jean-Pierre is here, even though the name wasn't with it, but just talking about white storks. Is there a chance, Claire is just asking, is there a chance that Karula might decide to have her cubs around the camp area? And that's an interesting question that I think to say too much in it would obviously create maybe too much potential. I just learned another thing about the chat. You see, I should have been on here more before. I can see everyone that's on at the moment, all the names on the side there. But Karula having cubs in the area, it's not impossible. She has spent a lot of time around here. There's the little pan, Pieter's pan, Pieter's Pond, actually, sorry, as it's being called, is quite a popular place for leopard. Whenever they're in the area, they come past there. It's a nice and sheltered, secluded place, which is one of the things I like about it. It's not an open space where smaller things can feel sort of in the open. And there's quite a few drainage line systems or riverbeds, little dongas as we call them in the back here. So it's not a bad area for a leopard to have cubs. Karula did spend, when she had the 2 youngsters, Saseka and Tingana, in the early days, she was quite often in this area up towards Aubrey's Road, Gallagher shortcut. So it's not impossible. I think to have them in camp, probably not likely. She's going to want something very quiet, something very secluded. But at the same time, to an extent,